My gate sensor screamed again. Her SUV, same silver, same defiance, blocked my driveway for the third time this month. I didn't shout, I just hit record. Some people fight with words. I use paperwork. The mug is hot in my hand when I step out. Steam lifts thin as thread, and I stop dead at the lip of my porch. A silver SUV sits sideways across my driveway tires, angled frost glowing on the hood like sugar. The flag at my pole hangs halfway up the line from last night's wind, and today's paper lies rubber-banded by the curb. I put the mug on the rail and take one breath. Cold air cuts the back of my throat. The second breath steadies the pulse in my neck. Morning, a voice calls. Karen Riddell stands on her porch in a quilted robe and Pearl's arms folded like a gate. Standards are there for a reason. I kept my voice low. Not for her, for control. Paper wins when anger doesn't. I raise my phone and hit record. Whose vehicle? Concerned neighbor, she says, chin tipped. We're all concerned. It's blocking my driveway. It's blocking Blight, she says, eyes on the mud on my truck's tires. I walk down the steps, slow boots, grinding grit. The tow notice under my wiper flutters red against the windshield. Embossed seal catches the pale light legit stock wrong target. I frame it tight in the camera, then pan to the SUV's front wheel turned onto my concrete apron. The street behind it is clear. Karen, I say, move it or call whoever owns it. She smiles with only her teeth. I already called. Who you'll see. I angle the camera down the property line stake, then the curb cut, then the mailbox number. The calm comes up from habit, not mood. She steps to the edge of her lawn. You know this would go easier if you cooperated. With what community aesthetics? My driveway is not an aesthetic, I say. The silence after that is quick and cold. A crow barks from the tall pine. I pick up the paper and set it on the porch, then bring the mug back to my hand. Steam rises in a slow ribbon. I let the heat sit on my lip. Calm is louder than rage, I say half to myself. Her mouth twitches. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not yelling. Headlights crest the corner. A sheriff's Tahoe rolls up, lights off, idling down. Deputy Raines steps out with a small notebook already open. Younger than me by 20 years, clean hat, steady eyes. Morning, he says. Call said, blocked access, possible sightline issue. I point the camera toward the concrete apron. Vehicle is entirely on my property. License plate there. My truck's on the pad. He walks the measure with his eyes, then crouches by the curb cut. You pour this driveway. Previous owner, county permits in the binder. I nod at the porch. Karen clears her throat. Deputy, the community standards, ma'am. He says polite but blunt standards don't override property lines. She scoffs. I pay taxes. So does he, Raines says. He looks at me. You mind if I check the wiper notice? Go ahead. He lifts the red slip with 2 fingers, scans it. This is a generic template. No city seal, not enforceable. Karen steps closer. It's a warning. He keeps that truck out here, it drags values down. People watch. She gestures at the windows lining the cul-de-sac. I keep my voice level. It's a private driveway. Raines nods. And the road's clear. No obstruction to emergency access. He scribbles tears a small card from a pad and holds it out. Incident number. We're clearing as unfounded. Karen's jaw tightens. You're just going to let him, ma'am, he repeats, not unkind. It's his driveway. She turns hard on her heel robe, snapping at the calf like a flag in crosswind. The SUV stays. The smell of cold exhaust drifts faintly from its rear. Raines glances at the camera light on my phone, then at me. You want me to knock next door, he says quietly. Or you got it. I got it, I say. Appreciate you coming out. He tucks his pen. If it doesn't move by noon, call dispatch again. I'll add it to the log. Copy. He gets back in the Tahoe. Karen watches from her porch the way people watch microwaves while they wait for water to boil, impatient, convinced heat is a conspiracy. The cruiser pulls away. I set the mug on the hood of my truck and catalog the details. Plate number, tire angle, shadow length from the pine, frost pattern where the wiper lifted the night's film. Then I walk the few steps to the SUV's nose and crouch. There's a faint smear on the bumper mud with that chalky line you get from gravel pit dust. Not mine. When I straighten, Karen is back at the edge of her grass. "You can end this," she says. Lower meant only for me. People talk. I talk. It adds up. I hold up the incident card between two fingers. So does paper. She swallows and looks away first. Inside, I set my phones on the kitchen counter and tap the footage to the big screen. Marina isn't home. Her night shift runs long on weekends. The house is quiet except for the heater's low push and the clock over the stove. I trim the clip to approach the angle the placement. Freeze frame on the tow notice then on the SUV's wheel. I pull the binder from the pantry shelf, permit survey closing packet, and slide the card from Rains into the clear sleeve at the front. The plastic snaps when it settles. I go back out. The air has warmed by a degree. Frost is bleeding into wet. The flag creaks as it climbs the last few inches when I pull the rope. At the curb, the rubber band on the paper pops when I slip it free. The headline is about a city council vote on street repaving, not us. Good. From the porch, I call across, "You've still got time to move it." She doesn't answer. She pretends her phone needs her full attention. 2 houses down, a dog barks once and quits nose back under tail. I set the paper inside, then flip my phone to camera again, wide angle. I narrate clean and thin address time, weather light vehicle position. I speak like I've spoken into mics many times. Dates, numbers, no speculation. The microphone icon glows, and I keep the lens steady on the license plate one last beat. The printer in my office warms with a hungry whir. I send the clip stills to it, then the export log. The first sheet curls out warm as toast. I staple the stack and slide it into the binder behind the survey page. Label, strip on the spine, reads Property Access. I print a second set and tuck it in a manila envelope. One for me. One for whoever needs to read it later. Karen calls out, "This isn't over." "It is if you move it," I say. Her nose flares. "We'll see." I take one more pass of the driveway with the camera marking scuffs and the faint dent in the leaf litter where her tire met the edge of my yard. I note the orange cone scuff on the curb. She must have staged it last week for effect and forgot the tell. The MOS in my head is paperwork and patience. The itch under it is the old one, do something, but I press it under my tongue and let it dissolve. "Sir," a voice from behind. It's Rains again. Window rolled down Tahoe, idling back at the corner. He holds up one more small card. "Forgot to include the direct line for dispatch. If you call reference the number I gave you, it'll shorten the chain." I walk out to the street. "Thanks." He passes the card, and he lowers his voice. "Keep filming. It tends to help." I am. He touches his brim and rolls on. I lock the front door, then unlock it again. Old habits. The clock over the stove clicks 1 minute forward. I pull the footage onto the laptop and scrub back to the pre-dawn. The street is a gray tunnel, lights off, then headlights rise and wash the curb. The SUV noses in, slow deliberate stops across my apron parks with the wheel cut. No one gets out for 30 seconds. Then a figure steps, checks the angle, taps the wiper once and leaves. The screen shows the red slip flutter and settle. I print the still. I write the time under it with a thin black pen. The numbers sit clean in the white margin, 03:14 a.m. I hold the page by one edge until the ink dries. Then I set it on the counter and look at the mug cooling by the sink, the flag outside finally settled high, and the driveway blocked by a stranger's steel. Someone planned this. I slide the still into the binder, click the rings shut, and label the tab with today's date. At the bottom of the page, I circle the timestamp twice and draw one crisp arrow toward the word deliberate in the margin. The email lands at 11:12 a.m. Subject line in bold, unauthorized commercial vehicle in residential zone. Sender, Karen Riddell, HOA, Vice Chair. CC, every address in Pinewood Estates. I read it twice. Each line carries that clipped civility only committee's master. We appreciate community pride. Vehicles exceeding HOA aesthetic standards should be garaged. No mention of my name, but the description fits like a boot print. I scroll jaw tight, then forward it to myself and print. The laser printer hums against the garage wall. When the sheet slides out, the ink smells sharp like burnt paper. The garage radio murmurs a weather update, dry front coming gusts by evening. I lower the volume and pull the old county code binder from a milk crate. Dust plumes off the lid. The sticker still reads Public Works Vehicle Ordinances 2015. A familiar number, R112, Euro 7, sits halfway down the index. I flip to the tab, run my finger under the header. Weight limit, 7,000 Haubiaus gross. My truck is 6,400 on the tag. That's the law. By 2:30, I'm at the county clerk's office downtown. The glass door pushes back a stale rush of air conditioning and coffee. 2 people wait at the counter. Both hold folders of tax forms. I join the line, ordinance binder under my arm. When it's my turn, the clerk, Denise silver hair and a sheriff's badge brooch, adjusts her glasses. Vehicle weight inquiry. Yes, ma'am. Need a certified copy of this. I slide the open binder forward. She scans the section, nods once. You'd be surprised how often this one comes up. HOA trouble. Her smile barely moves. Always HOA trouble. The printer behind her whirs. A pale green sheet curls out watermark faint as frost. She stamps it twice and passes it through the slot. There she says, 7,000 means 7,000. Under that they can huff and puff all they like. I fold the copy into a manila envelope. Appreciate it. Back home, sunlight slants through the garage windows, catching the chrome edge of my truck's mirror. I taped the ordinance above the workbench beside the torque spec chart. The hammer and wrench hang silent below it like witnesses. The radio plays old country tinny and soft. Between verses, I talk to myself under breath, outline the facts. Keep the tone neutral, just like reports used to read when I wore the uniform date-time observation. No adjectives. Then I start building a folder labeled HOA as evidence. PDFs, photos, the deputy's incident card, all nested. My laptop fan hums steady. Marina leans in from the kitchen doorway, hair pulled back, still in scrubs. You still at it just organizing. Let it go, Han. People like her thrive on pushback. This isn't pushback, it's paperwork. She shakes her head, but smiles. Same thing the way you do it. At dusk, I walk to the community mailbox cluster. The air smells of pine tar and metal. Crickets start in the drainage ditch. I drop an envelope addressed HOA Board, Compliance Committee. Inside, ordinance copy, deputy's incident number. Brief note, 30 words, polite, tone, all fact. The envelope hits the metal slot with a dry thud. Silent beat. I stand a second, listening to that small echo fade into the aluminum box. Then I head back up the street. Halfway home, Karen's porch light snaps on. The curtain shifts. She's there, phone glow on her cheek. The temperature drops with the breeze. I look once, keep walking. Morning brings a flash of orange at the curb. A safety cone, bright and new, planted on the property line like a flag. I crouch by it. A faint scrape shows where she twisted it into the frost. The label on its base reads, HOA, Maintenance Stock, 0032. She didn't even bother to hide the inventory sticker. I take 3 photos, wide medium detail, then step back for the panorama. The sun cuts through low haze, painting long lines down the drive. From her porch, Karen waves a hand like a queen, granting audience. Just marking the boundary, she says. Already marked, I reply. Visuals help people follow rules. Paper moves mountains. She blinks. Excuse me, just a saying. I drop the cone gently on her side of the line. It makes a soft, hollow sound as it settles. Inside, I add the new photos to the evidence folder. The printer clacks again. Another sheet slides out, warm and definite. I stack it atop yesterday's binder ring, snapping closed. Every click, every printed page is a small turn of leverage, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that waits. I check the video timestamp 7:43 a.m. The cone's shadow points due west. Karen's curtain moves once more like a twitch in the system that knows it's being watched. This time, I don't wave. The day's just starting, and the paper is already heavier than her noise. The man on the phone spoke like gravel rolling in a tin pan. "If it's on your property," he said, "you're in the right." "City tow?" I asked. Tom Hughes, dispatcher. A click, then paper sliding under his palm. "Start with the form. Due process does the heavy lifting." Anger wanted my hands. I kept them flat on the counter. "What do you need from me?" "Proof of line." "Photo of obstruction timestamp," he said. "You got all three?" "Yes." "Come down," he said. "We'll file it clean." City Tow squats behind a diner that smells like bacon fat and old coffee. I push through the door into fluorescent hum and dust motes. A corkboard holds a sun-faded photo of a wrecker from the 80s chrome like a mirror. At the front desk, a bell sits beside a stack of carbon pads and a chipped mug full of pens. Tom steps out from the back with a styrofoam cup steam curling over his knuckles. Gray mustache shoulders built by years of lifting chain. "You, Hartwick, I am." He sets the cup down and reaches for a clipboard. The pen makes that small plastic click. "Talk me through it short and straight." Neighbor's SUV parked across my driveway. Notice under my wiper. Deputy cleared it as unfounded. "I've got photos, video, and the incident number." "Good," he says. We're the boring part before the satisfaction. His eyes cut to the diner window where a waitress tops off a trucker's cup. Boring wins. I lay the photos on the counter, then the incident card, then the survey copy. He arranges them with a habit you only get by handling paper for years, squares everything to the edge, checks each corner with a thumb. "You military?" he asks. 23 now, reserve." He grunts approval, then nods to the form. "Tow request residential obstruction. This line is your sworn statement. This one's for the release party if they want to argue fee." He points with a blunt finger. Initials here, here, and here. I read each clause, lips moving once. He watches me, read not my face. Trust earned by paperwork, not charm. He slides a second page across. The city seal is watermarked faint as a ghost, a gear ring around a pine tree. This is the ordinance citation. It's not the HOA's version. It's ours. We tow by this and only this. Understood. I initial the boxes. The pen scribbles deep. The paper takes it clean. Tom lifts the packet and feed-slides it into a fax scanner the size of a lunch pail. The machine dials and hums. We both wait. A steady tone holds the room still, quiet as a church in the half-second before the hymn starts. Tom nods without looking at me. That sound, that's the part people don't hear when they go straight to yelling. The hold. The system line up. Then the tone drops. The feed rolls again. The print. A page tumbles out on his side stamped received. He stamps our copy thunk. Then another thunk. Paper outlives noise. He says, signing his initials in the bottom right corner. "Keep that copy somewhere you can reach in the dark." I smile. I already have a binder. I figured. His mouth twitches almost a grin, not quite. He turns to a schedule board with magnets and erasable lines. Now timing. We don't blare sirens into a cul-de-sac at noon. We do what works, which is night. Minimal, eyes-clean cameras, less fuss. Driver photographs, tags, winches. We notify PD before wheels leave ground. You film from your porch. No commentary. Don't bait anyone. If they come out screaming, that's their video, not yours. Understood. He drags a magnet to a block marked 0300400, initials EV. Eddie's steady. No swagger. The side door opens and a man in a beanie steps in with wind on his jacket. He nods our way. Tom jerks a thumb. "That's Eddie." "Eddie, this is Hartwick. He's got a property line special." Eddie shakes my hand once. "We tow what the paper says, not what people say. Copy that." I answer. Tom taps a small fee schedule taped inside the clipboard. Release amounts 500 even. If they come down to the yard with cash, we print a receipt. If they try to make it an HOA thing, we point at the ordinance. Clean lines. No improvisation. Do you need me to sign something else? One more. He flips to a short page. Consent to enter for the purpose of removing obstruction from private property. This protects Eddie. I want him protected, I say, and sign. The pen clicks home. Tom aligns the stack with his palm, then hands over the top copy in a thin, clear sleeve. Take this home. It'll catch the porch light if you need to show it. Power lives where a flashlight can find it. The diner bell jangles through the wall. I glance that way. The counter's full of men my age, hats with company logos, hands like busted leather. Tom follows my eyes. You want the right ratio, he says. 40% talk, 60% doing. The internet flips it, and that's why people get stuck. I'll take a coffee to go, I say. He laughs once. You will. He flips the desk bell with a knuckle and calls Maya to go cup. A woman in a city toe hoodie slides a cardboard sleeve and a lid across. On the house if you promise not to spill it on the form. Deal, I say. The coffee smells burnt in that way tow yards and precincts keep it fuel, not flavor. Tom leans his elbows on the counter. You good with being up late? I've done late. Then, here's your line. He writes on a sticky note, 0317. Eddie will swing quiet. You film from your porch. Don't step into the work zone. We call PD 20 minutes before wheels lift. You see anyone try to play hero call dispatch, reference this number. He taps the TOW request header with the city seal. Not HOA. Us. Maya slides a stapler across. Want me to make you a yard copy, she asks. Please. I hand her the duplicate. She collates and staples with a crisp K-chunk. The sound is tidy and satisfying. Tom lowers his voice. One more piece. You're not going to argue in the driveway. You're going to let the printed page wear the badge. I can manage that. If they talk about feelings, you talk about lines. If they talk about community, you talk about code. When tempers rise, you point to the paper. When paper is pointed at you, shut up. Every word you don't say is yours later. Roger. He studies me a beat, decides something, and nods once. You'll be fine. Eddie checks his watch. Gonna fuel up. See you at 0315, boss. Tom waves him off and turns back to me. There's a lane in every town where folks think rules are a buffet. This fixes it without bruises. You'll sleep better after. I look forward to sleep. He slides the tow request form with the city seal into a cardboard mailer and hands it over with 2 fingers like passing a baton. If anything shifts, I'll call. Otherwise, be ready. Porch light off, camera on, minimal silhouettes. We work by the book. I tuck the mailer under my arm. Thanks, Tom. You can buy me a coffee after if it goes smooth. I hold up the to-go. Starting the tab. He laughs that gravel laugh again. Be up by 3 a.m., he says, pushing off the counter. Watch it happen. The diner counter is sticky when I set my elbow down, waiting on a breakfast sandwich I don't need. The waitress tops my cup even though I have the tow yard coffee cooling at my feet. A trucker talks about brake pads. A carpenter argues with a nail gun manual. The world keeps its small rhythms. I thumb the sticky note with 0317 on it until the edges go soft. Then I slide it into my wallet behind my driver's license. Numbers matter when your hands want to ball. Back in the truck, I open the mailer and study the header again. The seal's pine tree seems to lift in the fluorescent glare. The gear ring looks like it's turning. At home, I add the TOW request to the front of the binder cover sheet facing out. I place the coffee on the workbench and set my phone to charge. The battery icon glows. I test the porch camera angle down the line of concrete, adjust for glare. The lens shows the truth. I need my apron, the Kirby, the street. No drama, just shapes and edges. Marina texts from the hospital, you good? Good, I text back, working the book. I lay on the couch but don't sleep. At 10 p.m. I stand. At midnight I stretch my back and crack the door to feel the air. At 2:45 I pull on boots and a jacket. The house is a ship at Nightwood, creaking in small tides. The clock over the stove ticks like a distant metronome. I set the binder on the end table open to the tow request, then to the incident card behind it. The pages lie flat. The light off the plastic sheets looks like frost. The phone buzzes once a new message from an unknown number, Eddie. 2 out, 10 minutes. I type back, copy. Porch light off. I step outside. The neighborhood is a bowl of dark with stars pricked in the lid. Somewhere a heater kicks on and fades. The cone Karen left yesterday sits on her porch, now upside down, a small orange lighthouse gone out. I take the camera from the tripod and check the red dot. Recording. I angle it low. My breath hangs and breaks. Tom's voice from memory. Let the paper wear the badge. Headlights slide around the far corner, muted, slow. Plan set for 0317. The porch clock clicks once the minute hand aligning with the note in my wallet, 0317. Fog presses low against the yard. My thermos hisses when I crack the lid, coffee smell mixing with the sharp scent of wet pine. A distant rumble builds under the mist, slow, steady, industrial. Headlights bloom then dim as the tow truck crawls around the bend. The diesel hum fills the street like a slow drumbeat. Karen's window light flickers. Her curtain twitches once. Eddie eases the truck to a stop with surgical calm. No horn, no words. He steps out, jacket zipped to the chin, clipboard in hand. The tow cable rattles as he lowers it. The metal hook kisses the asphalt. I film from the porch, steady, silent. The camera light glows faint red on my thumb. Eddie waves once a question. I nod. He threads the chain through the axle point, clicks the ratchet twice. The SUV rocks in its sleep. Inside Karen's house, a shape passes by the blinds. My porch clock ticks again. Raines's earlier words echo due process, not confrontation. Eddie lifts a single page from his clipboard, the tow order copy. The city seal gleams under the street lamp, already auto-stamped, received. He sets it on my porch rail and signs the lower field. The ink blots slightly glinting like oil. The hook tightens. The winch motor whines, steady as a heartbeat. Then a pause. Eddie releases the lever, lets the tow chain fall slack into the cold night air. A silent acknowledgement of the moment the before. He looks at me, lips forming recorded. I nod. The motor hums again. The chain draws taut. The SUV's tires creak. The fog swallows the sound, turns it soft, almost gentle. Karen's door opens just a crack. Her voice hisses out small against the engine. You can't. Eddie doesn't answer. He just points once at the tow order, glowing under the porch light. The law sits there, ink and seal, calm as a mountain. The truck's amber lights blink twice, then fade as he idles away. I lower the camera thumb, the save icon. The file name timestamps itself automatically, 03177 tow execution.mp4. The house is still again. Fog curls in little ropes along the ground. I pour the last of the coffee-taste metal and smoke. On the porch, the printed invoice form catches a drip of condensation ink bleeding slightly at the corner the first ran in the paper. Imperfect, but done. Inside the laptop screen wakes at motion detection. An email notification blinks in the corner. Subject, HOA, incident report pending. My breath leaves slow. The law doesn't need to shout, I say to the empty room. The phone vibrates in my pocket low and insistent. Incoming complaint. By 7, the street smells like paper-earned coffee and wet asphalt. Jackets zip. Laces squeak. Neighbors drift into loose clusters at the curb the way people gather when a story wants witnesses. The mailbox flag at my post sticks straight out, a red arm pointing at the scene. Karen stands near the bumper of her silver SUV, chin-set pearls bright as frost. The tow supervisor, Eddie's boss, arrives with a clipboard and a flat canvas bag. "Morning, folks," he says, voice steady. "Let's do this by the book." Karen exhales a laugh that never becomes sound. "By the book, whose book city ordinance," he replies, "and your receipt printer." She blinks. Deputy Rains takes a position off to the side, hands folded, body cam glowing like a blue firefly. Behind him, Mrs. Talbot from across the street holds a church bulletin like a prayer shield. A kid on a scooter drifts by circles, once stops when his mother's hand lands on his shoulder. I stand at my driveway edge phone. Up, red light on, framing the apron line, the SUV, the clipboard. The supervisor sets the canvas bag on my porch rail and unzips it. Inside, a small field printer, a battery pack, a roll of thermal paper. He fits the paper with 2 clicks and feeds a test strip. The printer chirps as if clearing its throat. Karen crosses her arms. "You people are ridiculous." "Ma'am, the supervisor says this is a release procedure. No one's here to argue." "Then why an audience?" She throws one hand toward the neighbors. "Because we do public work in public," he answers. Rains clears his throat. "Let's start with the reading." The supervisor flips the clipboard over and lifts the top sheet, the public reading transcript template. The city seal sits faint in the corner gear ring around a pine tree. He breathes once, then begins. On the date in question, a vehicle was positioned across a private driveway apron at address, obstructing access to the property owner's vehicle. Documentation includes time-stamped photos and deputy incident number. He nods to Rains. The deputy recites the number. The supervisor continues steady as a metronome. Under Municipal Code 412-07, vehicles exceeding 7,000 pounds gross must be garaged if visible from the roadway. The vehicle at issue today owners is 6,400 compliant. Obstruction was not remedied until tow initiation. Release fee is $500 standard schedule. Karen scoffs. "Release. I didn't—" "Ma'am," he says, "this isn't a debate. It's notice that the tow is proper and the release is processed." "By who?" "By the person who blocked a driveway." Silence. A pen hovers over the signature block on his clipboard and the whole street holds its breath with it. For a heartbeat, you hear only the percolator slosh inside the cardboard urn and the low thrum of a fridge in someone's open garage. Karen breaks first. You tow thugs think Rains lifts a hand. "Careful." She turns to him. "I called about property values." He drags mud into the cul-de-sac. He papers the rule, Rains says. Not sentiment. The supervisor removes a printed strip from the field printer release receipt pending. He affixes it to the form with a small stapler, K-chunk, then lays out a $500 receipt template on the clipboard. Pay by card or check. Cash by drop. Karen's jaw sets like cement. "I'm not paying." The supervisor taps the ordinance citation with the pen. Paper outlives noise. A ripple runs through the crowd, low pleased like a wind through short grass. Someone whispers, "Say it again." He doesn't. He just holds the pen and waits. Karen glances back at her house. The curtain twitches. A shape moves past the window. She squares herself, pulls a checkbook from her robe pocket and flips it open with a snap. "You're extorting me," she says. "No, ma'am." The supervisor's tone is polite, board final. "We're closing the loop." She scribbles the date, the payee, the amount. The nib scratches too hard. The check threatens to tear. The pen floats above the signature line. For 1 second, a silent beat, the only sound is my phone fan cooling. Then she signs with a short, angry flourish. The printer whirs. The receipt curls out with a crisp edge. He tears its stamps, paid, and hands it toward her. She doesn't take it. He places it gently on the SUV's hood. The thermal paper sticks to the thin film of dew. He lifts the clipboard higher and reads the last line into my camera. The body cam and the morning release on payment confirmed vehicle removed at 0319. Compliance achieved per Ayrshire 1207. Copy to party, copy to owner. Copy to file. Rains nods. Logged. Across the street, Mr. Havel raises his coffee. About time someone read the rules like they're supposed to be read. Karen pivots toward me. "You think you won." "I think the book worked," I say. "You humiliated me." I filmed my driveway. She snatches the receipt off the hood. The ink smears under her thumb. She stares at the gray streak, breathing tight. For a second, I think she'll shred it, but she folds it twice and shoves it into her pocket. The supervisor holds out a thin envelope owner copy of the transcript stamped and signed. I slide it into my binder sleeve. The plastic sleeve snaps shut like a case closing. "Anything else?" he asks Rains. "We're good," Rains says, then tilts his head toward me. "Expect an HOA email." I nod. "Of course." Karen looks around at the faces. Most are neutral. A few wear small tired smiles, the kind you see after a long meeting that finally stayed on rails. She goes for one last swing. "Your truck is still an eyesore," she says louder than she needs to. Everyone thinks so. Marcus, the mail carrier from 4 houses down, speaks for the first time. "I think it's a truck." He taps his chest. "And I think a driveway is a driveway." The supervisor zips the canvas bag and shakes my hand once. "You kept it clean. Couldn't have done it without the paper." He smiles with only one corner. That's the point. He steps back, glances at Karen, then at Rains, then at the gathering. We're clear. He walks to his truck and rolls away taillights blinking twice before the fog eats them. The crowd begins to thin. People peel off cups in hand, conversations resuming about breakfast and brake pads and the forecast. I take the transcript out, trace the embossed seal with a thumb, then slot it behind the incident card. My binder feels heavier in my hands, like weight has its own sort of rightness when it's in the shape of pages. Lieutenant Mrs. Talbot says softly, "Our youth group's pancake breakfast is next week. You and your wife should come." "We'll be there," I say. She smiles and moves on. Rains lingers. "You did fine," he says. I said as little as I could. "That's often the most." He glances at Karen, who is tapping furiously on her phone. "You'll see something soon." "I'm ready," I say. He gives the smallest nod, then heads to his Tahoe. Karen stays. She cradles her phone like a radio. The mailbox flag still points at her. A neighbor's garage band drum set thumps once testing skins for Saturday practice. The paper urn on the folding table sits half empty. The last pour tastes like tin and duty. I lift my phone angle at low, catch the sunlight sliding down the side of my truck, clean now, tires squared all numbers true. Karen watches me watch the line of my concrete apron carved clean from the street. She flashes a smile made of corners. "Enjoy the quiet," she says while it lasts. I let the lens ride over the $500 receipt in my binder. The ink is already drying into a gray permanence, the kind that doesn't care about tone or volume. Paper outlives noise. I say this time, not soft. Her smile drops a degree. "We'll see," she mutters and heads inside. A breeze lifts the edges of the church bulletin still in Mrs. Talbot's hand as she crosses back to her porch. Somewhere a car door shuts. The sound echoes between roofs like a period at the end of a sentence. My phone buzzes once. Then again. Then again. I look down. New email, HOA, incident report, pending. New email, HOA, courtesy reminder placement. New email, HOA, special discussion driveway standards. Justice has been read. The receipt is signed. But the inbox is waking up. I close the binder and tuck it under my arm. The morning is bright, now fog burnt off the cul-de-sac clear. I step toward the door as the phone buzzes once more. A subject line bold and prim sliding into view, compliance review, immediate response requested. Justice serve. By late afternoon, the cul-de-sac smells like grill smoke and warmed pine. A lawn sprinkler ticks a lazy circle somewhere behind the fences, psst, 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 and the sound hangs over the roofs like a metronome for the end of day. I see it from my porch steps. First, a sheet of city stationery taped to Karen's front door with bright blue hardware store tape. The corners are neat. The seal is unmistakable gear ring around a pine. It's centered like a small ceremony. I cross to the sidewalk and stop at the property line. I don't need to get closer to read the words. I already know the cadence. Still, I zoom my camera and hold it there until the autofocus bites. Notice of finding obstruction confirmed. Release procedure proper. Municipal Code 41207. Satisfied. Below a second page. Procedure memo lists steps for complaints going forward, who calls what evidence, who reads how to file without flames. Karen opens the door 2 inches. The paper trembles against the glass in the draft. "What is this?" she says, not a question. "City letter," I answer. Authority confirms the case. She keeps the chain on. On my door, because that was the site of the complaint. Her lips tighten. "This is harassment." "It's instruction," I say. "There's a difference." Deputy Raines pulls to the curb lights off. He steps out with the casual quiet of a man who's delivered 1,000 envelopes. He nods at me, then at the door. "Ms. Riddell," he calls voice even. "I'm here to verify you received the notice." She unlatches the chain and opens the door enough to face him. I read it. "This is heavy-handed. It's process," he says, "and it keeps neighbors from escalating." She glances past us to the half-circle of houses, then back at the paper taped to the glass. "You could have emailed." "We did," Raines says, tapping his tablet. "This is the public copy for a public event." "Public." She lets the word hang like a threat. He checks the procedure memo. "Going forward, report evidence, not preference. The city will weigh it. Think of this as the playbook." Her eyes cut to me. "You're enjoying this." "I'm repairing it," I say. She breathes through her nose, then closes the door to a narrow crack. The letter and memo remain blue tape bright against the pane. The evening sprinkler hisses back to life. A grill clicks off 2 houses down. The last smoke ribbon unwinds into the lane. Raines turns the tablet for me. "Copy for your files," he says. "We log a receipt either way." I photograph the screen. "Thanks." He studies me a beat like he's making sure the voltage is grounding somewhere safe. "Keep it boring," he says. "Boredom wins. Working on it." He tips 2 fingers from his brow and heads to the Tahoe. I carry my camera inside and set it by the binder. I print the screenshots of the letter and memo. The pages curl warm from the tray. The seal raises in faint texture under my thumb. I slide them into a sleeve labeled City Process and walk them to the kitchen. The refrigerator door opens with a soft rubber sigh. I hold the memo up, center it on the stainless, and place a black round magnet at the top. It grips with a tiny click that sounds bigger than it is. Silent beat. Marina reads over my shoulder. They taped it to her door blue painter's tape. Clean pull, no residue. She smiles despite herself. You would note the tape. It matters. People notice what doesn't scar the surface. I tap the memo. There's a new line complainants must certify they attempted good faith contact. Good, she says. Maybe that alone changes behavior. My phone buzzes once a subject line peeks up from the lock screen, HOA procedure update. I open it. The board forwards the city memo verbatim. At the bottom, a sentence in smaller font. Effective immediately, the association will refer driveway and weight disputes to municipal enforcement. No private cones notices or social media posts. Marina raises an eyebrow. No private cones. Named and shamed, I say, politely. She sets a plate beside me, burgers cooling the buns, toasted just shy of char. We eat standing up while the house takes a deep breath after the day. The sprinkler's rhythm moves on, hitting the far fence, then silence, then our siding in a soft patter. The inbox pings again. Subject, neighborhood cookout. This Saturday brings sides, Marcus. The body's brief burgers at 5 chairs on the lawn, let's reset the street. RSVP by Thursday. A line at the bottom makes me still open mic for acknowledgments at 6. Cookout, I say. Good, Marina answers. People need to look each other in the face. I reply, we'll be there before the courage can cool. Another ping. HOA compliance Q&A. Then another board memo, signage options, driveway courtesy. I open the last one. 3 mock-ups of a small post sign appear black on white, white on green, and a neat reflective plate with a simple legend. Respect the driveway. There's a checkbox for install with keyed cap. Below a note, City Public Works has offered standard hardware. 2 keys per installation. I stare at that line a second too long. Keys. Small metal symbols of where authority now sits. Marina catches my look. Do you want it? I want whatever stops this without another round. Then pick one, she says. Pick the one that reads like a truth, not a threat. I check the reflective plate. The board's reply arrives a minute later, approved. Public Works will contact for pickup. The phone rings with an unknown local number. I answer. A measured voice identifies itself, Public Works Yard Office. We're preparing your signage kit, the man says. Includes a post-sleeve reflective plate mounting hardware and a keyed cap. There are 2 brass keys in a small envelope. You'll sign for them. Where Yard Counter Building B, open till 6 today. Bring ID. I'll be there. I grab my jacket and the binder. The thermos on the counter still holds a splash. It smells like old duty and metal. I pour it down the sink, rinse the cup, and head out. The Public Works yard is a puzzle of chain link and high-vis vests. Inside Building B, a counter runs the length of a room with cinderblock walls painted a shade of municipal optimism. A clerk with a barcode scanner pulls a small box from a shelf. Driveway courtesy kit, he asks. That's me. He opens the box so I can see plate wrapped in paper bag of bolts, a narrow cap with a lock at the top. He lifts a tiny manila envelope and taps it once. Keys, 2 copies. If you need a third, we post a request 48 hours. I sign the form. The scanner beeps. He slides a carbon receipt to me. Keep that dry. Thermal ink doesn't love glove compartments. Learned that already. Back home, the evening sprinkler hits our roses and a thin mist drifts across the walk. I carry the kit to the garage, set it on the workbench under the ordnance copy. I open the envelope and spill the 2 brass keys into my palm. They're small and weighty, stamped PW on one side, a number on the other. I set them down on a rag as if they're evidence, which they are. I bring the board memo back to the kitchen and hold it beside the city procedure on the fridge. They align, Marina says. Good, I say. She points at my phone. More emails. The HOA thread has softened. The edges look less sharp. People ask real questions. What if a caregiver needs to park 5 minutes while helping an elder? What if a moving truck needs an hour? The answers, borrowed from the memo, are boring and human. Announce timebox, leave access. I scroll once more and stop at a short message from a familiar address. From Yolanda, Treasurer. We owe an apology in public. Saturday is better than formal hall. Are you okay if we read a statement and call it what it is? I breathe out. Yes, I type. I'm okay. The last light lifts off the porch. Rains texts, letter acknowledged. Case closed. Keep the copies. I send a thumbs up and a photo of the memo on the fridge. He replies with a single line that reads like a verdict. Justice sounds like paperwork. I say it out loud. Justice sounds like paperwork. Marina leans her head against my shoulder. Put that on a sign, she says. Tomorrow I answer. The sign I ordered will do. We eat the last cold fries straight from the foil and watch the inbox quiet. Through the window, I can see Karen's door. The blue tape still holds. The letter rides the glass like a mirror turned outward. I check the cookout invite again, open mic at 6, and imagine saying anything other than what the paper already said for me. I don't plan speeches. I plan what to bring and where to sit, and I plan to listen. Another message lands. Marcus, need extra grills. I've got 2. I'll bring the spare table. Then, let's keep this neighborly. No dunking, just straight talk. Copy, I text back. I take the small keys to the fridge and set them on the memo's lower edge where the magnet shadow shades the steel. They glint like a punctuation mark. My phone pings one last time, an event reminder sketching out Saturday's layout. Folding chairs, name tags, a cheap PA on a card table. Beside it, a penciled box labeled Silence 3 Saki. 3 seconds, Marina asks, reading over my arm. Space for dignity, I say. She nods. Good. From the porch, the night smells clean. Sprinklers stop. The grill smoke has thinned to memory. For the first time in weeks, the air feels like it belongs to the block again. I lock the door, then unlock it and lock it once more, habit. Finding new weight. The keys on the fridge catch the kitchen light when I turn out the lamp. The cookout invite sits at the top of my inbox, starred. Under it, a calendar block appears without fuss, Saturday, 5th Huzer's Neighbors. Small, ordinary right. We're not done. But the street has put its hand on the wheel. The next turn isn't a fight. It's a gathering. The community is ready to reconcile. By 5 o'clock, the cul-de-sac smells like baked beans and casseroles. Folding chairs form a loose semicircle around a borrowed microphone stand. Someone has taped a hand-lettered sign to the card table, Neighborhood Cookout and Meeting. Below it, a paper checklist with the HOA seal flaps in the breeze, bullet points for acknowledgement refunds, new signage. Marcus tests the mic. It squeals once, earning a ripple of laughter. "Guess it works," he says, backing off. The sound settles into the air like a pulse. The coffee urn hisses behind him, crowd murmuring low over paper plates. Karen stands near the table, stiff but present. Her husband holds a casserole that nobody's quite ready to approach. The letter still taped to her door flutters faintly in the distance, now mostly sun-bleached. Raines appears again, this time in off-duty khakis and a crisp polo. He nods to me as he walks up, his badge tucked away, voice warm but deliberate. "You all ready?" Marcus gestures to the group. "We'll start simple. The board wanted to address last month's miscommunications." He looks to Karen, then to Yolanda, the HOA treasurer, who holds a stack of refund envelopes bound with a rubber band. Yolanda clears her throat, steps forward, and unfolds a single page. The association acknowledges the error in applying residential parking bylaws beyond their jurisdiction, she reads. All fines and related fees have been rescinded, and the city's procedure memo now governs these disputes. Copies are on the table. A quiet nod moves through the chairs, a small wave of relief. Raines raises a hand and the mic squeals again before he steadies it. Before we continue, I'm asking for 3 seconds of silence. For peace, for civility, for the idea that we can argue without damage. He looks right at me, then at Karen. The sound fades. Kids' wind chatter. Everything folds inward. For 3 full seconds, the cul-de-sac holds its breath. Silent beat. When the murmur returns, it's softer, more human. Marina squeezes my hand. Across the way, Karen exhales and nods once tiny but real. Marcus steps up again. Refund envelopes for those affected, he says, motioning Yolanda forward. She hands mine over with a quiet thank you. It's light $50 from the HOA's legal fund, a symbolic line item turned olive branch. Karen takes hers without eye contact. She tucks it into her jacket pocket and whispers something to Yolanda that I can't hear. Raines clicks his mic off and on again, smiling faintly. You know, sometimes paperwork is peace. Laughter breaks the tension. Someone claps. Then 2, then a few more, until the rhythm becomes applause, not wild, not triumphant, just steady acknowledgement. I catch sight of the 2 brass keys on the edge of the card table. Marcus notices my glance and lifts them. Public Works dropped these off, he says. We'll mount the new sign in 5 minutes if anyone wants to join. Karen raises her hand first. I'll help. Her husband looks surprised but follows. The group moves toward the streetlight post at the head of the cul-de-sac. The reflective plate gleams inside its wrapper. Raines holds up a small checklist handout. Install verified signatures after placement. It's boring, but boring wins. I take one corner of the plate while Marcus aligns the bracket. Karen holds the bolt steady. The metal is cool, smooth, and steady between our fingers. As Marcus tightens the final screw, Raines says, There it is. New start. The keys jingle in my hand when I pass one to Karen. She hesitates, then takes it, pressing the teeth into her palm like proof. Quiet can be a verdict, I say. She nods. Maybe we needed one. Applause again, lighter this time, friendly. Marcus steps back to the mic, grinning. All right, folks. Before we lose Daylight Burger's desserts and a little music. And tomorrow morning, same spot, we'll take a picture for the newsletter. He points to me. And Hartwick here's going to sign the dedication line on the installation form. I do. The ink ballpoint smooth across the paper. Raines stamps it with the city's small circular mark thunk, final, and satisfying. Marina hands out paper name tags and a marker. Someone scrawls Karen Neighbor in big block letters and sticks it to her cardigan. She laughs once genuinely. The air smells of onions and charcoal now. The kids chase each other between lawn chairs. People trade recipes over folding tables. I take a long breath, slow and even. The 3 seconds of quiet still hum in the back of my mind, stretched into something larger than sound. The mic hums again. Marcus leans in. Before we wrap, one more thing. Join us for the sign install photo in the morning. He grins toward me. You've got the other key right. I hold it up. Brass glints in the sunset. He nods. Then we're good. The sun clears the roofs by 8 light sharp enough to make the new sign gleam "Respect the driveway." The reflective plate throws back a stripe of gold that runs across the pavement like a quiet boundary. Folding tables line the street again this time, stacked with pancake trays, paper cups, and the Polaroid board from last night, photos pinned with clothespins, smiles caught mid-laughter. Someone's brought an old speaker playing soft jazz under the flagpole. The flag's fabric snaps once in the wind, a clean final note. Karen arrives early, hair tied up, carrying a foil pan. "Cinnamon rolls," she says. The tone isn't cheerful yet, but it isn't guarded either. She sets them beside Marina's pancakes and steps back to watch people pour syrup, refill coffee, move on. Deputy Raines stands near the table, flipping through a small stack of forms. He glances up at the sign, then at me. "You got your copy of the transfer order right here." I tap the sleeve in my binder, the document transferring jurisdiction from the HOA to the city for all access disputes. The ink still smells faintly of toner. He nods. "Keep it framed, not hidden. That's the plan." Karen looks at us. "Transfer order means it's official then." "It means no one gets to weaponize rules anymore," Raines says. "They serve everyone now." She breathes out slow, watching the reflection shift along the metal. "Good. I can live with that." The board gathers for the sign dedication photo. Marcus raises a Polaroid camera, the kind that hums before it spits out memory. He waves the photo in the air, shaking it dry, then pins it to the board with a thumbtack labeled Saturday 9:02 a.m., cul-de-sac reset. "All right, Hartwick," he says, passing me a small envelope. "Final paperwork. 2 keys, city tag, and your inscription line." I open the envelope. The keys shine like polished brass initials, PW, faint beneath the teeth. I place them into the new lock mounted under the sign and twist until it clicks clean, smooth, unresisting. Silent beat. That sound is smaller than you'd expect for something that closes months of noise. Marina hands me a pen. "You should sign the dedication." I write slow. "Installed in good faith, maintained by all." Below, Karen leans in and writes smaller, "Lesson learned, line respected." No one says anything for a moment. The wind shifts, carrying the smell of syrup and grass. Children laugh somewhere near the sprinklers. Raines clears his throat and raises a cup. "To boring mornings and lawful neighbors," he says. Laughter spreads. Paper cups lift. Someone claps once, then the group joins a single rhythm, steady and warm. Later, people drift back to folding chairs. Marina collects plates. Karen helps stacking cups in quiet rhythm. The Polaroid board fills with snapshots, the sign, the crowd, even one where Karen and I stand shoulder to shoulder, both half smiling at the camera's surprise flash. Marcus unplugs the speaker and grins. "You know this was supposed to be a damage control breakfast." "Looks more like repair," I say. Same root word, he answers. Control breaks things. Repair gives them weight. He tears off a corner of pancake and chews thoughtfully. "Hey, your turn. Tell me your story." The short version. I look around at the circle neighbors I've lived beside for a decade, people who now look me in the eye again. Karen's leaning against the table, holding her coffee with both hands. "It's simple," I say. "Someone drew a line where it didn't belong. I just followed it back to where it did." "That's it?" Marcus asks. "That's enough." He nods. "Fair." The morning sun climbs higher. The sign burns brighter for a moment, then settles into steady reflection. Raines helps fold the last chair. Karen steps over, extends her hand. We'll try the right way this time. Me too, I say, shaking it. The gesture is firm, not forced. She tilts her head toward the binder tucked under my arm. You'll keep that, won't you? Always. Proof isn't for revenge, it's for memory. She smiles a little. Guess we both learned that. The last Polaroid print pops out me standing beside the sign binder, in one hand sunlight washing the edge of the driveway. Marcus waves it once and tacks it to the top of the board. Beneath it, he writes with a felt pen. Finally, someone fought back. The crowd laughs, half in jest, half in truth. Marina catches my eye. I nod, once slow. The flag snaps again in the wind, bright and brief. The cul-de-sac feels wider somehow. Boundaries, I think, aren't built from fences. They're built on lines drawn, read, respected. I gather the leftover coffee cups, fold one table, and look once more at the sign. Its reflection cuts a fine line along the concrete, no longer a divide, but a mark of order. Karen waves from her porch. The blue tape's gone from her window. Only faint squares remain where the letter once hung. Rains heads for his Tahoe, calling back over his shoulder. Paper outlives noise, but quiet keeps it alive. See you around, deputy. He nods. Better be boring from now on. Marina slides her arm into mine. The street hums with small talk and the clatter of dishes. The Polaroid board flutters once as a breeze moves through the tables. I lock the binder into its case, snap the latch shut. The click of the new lock on the sign answers softly, echoing across the quiet pavement. For the first time since that foggy morning, I feel the space in front of my house belongs to everyone who'll treat it right. Finally, Marina whispers. Someone fought back. Finally, I echo. The sign glints once more in the sun, and the street falls into the kind of peace that doesn't need to be enforced, it's simply agreed upon. Sunlight glanced off the new plaque, the words, "Respect the driveway," bright as a promise. The lock clicked once under my hand, brass cool and steady. Around me, neighbors folded tables, the last coffee steaming beside the posted order with its city seal. We had redrawn a line, and for the first time everyone saw it as shared ground. Sometimes justice isn't loud, it's written, signed, and quietly followed. Boundaries are built on lines. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs. Finally, someone fought back.